Hello, welcome. So excited to be here for the February 2025 Soulcast and Energy Report. My name is Donnell Davis, and I am a channel, a healer, and a transformational mentor who specializes in helping her clients heal forward so they can become their future self now to have their next level of success, whether that's love, money, health, and as a channel, I love to do these reports. I actually took January off because I wanted to think about how I could do these a little bit differently. I felt like it was time. I've been doing them, I think, for about 3 years, and I wanted to innovate these reports a little bit and do something that will really serve you and support you in really co-creating your best life. And one of the things that I specialize in my practice, as I said, I help people become, heal forward to become their future selves, is futuring. And futuring is something that I teach. I have a course on it. If you ever want to learn more, you can go to the link in my bio and you can check out this course. It's $97. It's on sale from $9.97. Amazing course to learn the fundamentals of how to co-create your best life. But part of futuring is your ability to forecast and see how you can work with different energy. And so each week, as I'm telling you what I see unfolding as far as how to best work with the energy, I'm also going to tell you the best way to future with it as well, because I think that will be a great addition and a way to make this really different. Because that's what's exciting and important to me is I always think about okay, here's the information, but how does this help me pragmatically move forward? So you will see just a teeny bit of change with these. And of course, I'd always love your guys' feedback. If there's anything that you want to see more of, let me know. And I'm going to start off with the card for the month of February. And the card is this beautiful, amazing card that is a one card. It's the first of the major arcana, as far as it's not the first, I should say there's the full before this, but this is the magician. It's the number one card. And oh, what a great card to receive after January and its intensity. Let me know in the comments, was January intense for you at all? Were there a lot of soul lessons and lots of things coming up? And it just felt overall a little bit crunchy. There's so much change happening right now in the collective, and it would be really easy to feel disoriented by the change. And you have to always remember what our brains and our bodies do when there's lots of change. Our brains go back into survival mode. Brains don't like a lot of change. That survival part, gets in the back, gets activated, and it feels more challenging to regulate your nervous system at those times. So if you're someone that's going, oh my gosh, life feels so different, things are happening, it feels like a lightning speed, you're not alone. And now more than ever, it's important to have a spiritual practice that really grounds you and allows you to keep manifesting because this card is about that. This card is saying, it's the magician card saying you have everything you need to create the life that you want. And that happens when you are connected to something higher. It doesn't always have to be that way. A lot of us can manifest, great things from our ego, but we don't often see it sustained and being there for the longevity. So if you want to have an incredible month, I would really start off February as a invitation of, oh God, what is it that I really want to co-create this month? Maybe it's more of a feeling state, maybe it's something very specific that you'd like to move the needle on. But this is an opportunity, you guys. When we get this card, it's saying there's some new beginnings, there's momentum, the train's going to leave the track. So if the train is leaving the track, which direction is it going to? Where do you want to end up? When we have the end of the month roll around, how do you want to feel that shifted something or you were able to accomplish something? So I really want you to get in the energy of starting off this first week of February, understanding what it is that you want to create. When I tune into this month, I'm really getting so much beautiful, maybe because we're going to be, going into Pisces season later, but I am getting so much purple energy, so much intuitive energy, so much energy of so much percolating around us, and this feeling of shifting and changing, but not necessarily knowing exactly what that's going to lead to. And so there could be this feeling of the ground moving beneath you and having to really be firmly rooted and planted and understanding where you can be spiritually resourced. If you are someone who tends to be empathic or really feel a lot of energy, you are going to have a lot of spiritual hygiene, a lot of energetic hygiene this month because it does feel like there's a lot coming in. Um, it feels like the energy's coming in hot. And I don't mean angry in that way, but just a lot and quickly and fast. And there's there's a tendency this month, I'm hearing from Spirit, to be impulsive or reactive. And so there's this sense with pausing, slowing down, and really, instead of having to repeat yourself or repeat a situation or a pattern over and over again, really taking the time to understand and be mindful of how you want to respond to your life. There is this big energy of throat chakra for February where you are architecting your life. And so I've said this before and I'll always say it again, be so mindful of how you describe your reality, how you describe yourself, and staying in a space of what's possible, really staying in that space, getting excited. If you feel a little bit disconnected because of all the changes that have been happening from your dreams, from your heart, I really encourage you to do heart practices this month. And something from a futuring perspective that would be really incredible is doing a meditation where you're tuning into your heart and you're at the end of the month and you're looking backwards. If you're trying to figure out what it is that you want to create, where's that train going? Really get into that heart space. And I think the last day of the month is, I think it's the 28th or something, and look as if the month is already complete and you're speaking in present tense to yourself and you're saying, oh, it was so lovely that I had all these connections and all this time with friends or self-love practice or more abundance come in, whatever it is that really is going to fill you up. From a futuring perspective, start to identify that from a heart space, not from your mind, not from, oh my gosh, this would be so great to see. No, I want you to drop into your heart and really get into that yummy, warm space of what it feels like when life feels really rich and fulfilling, and reverse engineer that. So that's what I want you to do for this month, starting it off, is just so you can get in the energy of it so that by the time the month ends, you're in that, since you already said, and make sure when you write it out after you meditate on it in your journaling, said, it was so amazing that this happened. Write it as if it's already done, not in I hope or I wish or maybe. It's no, this went down this way. And I'm so excited that I got to have this experience or whatever it is, make it past tense. So see that your heart is going to be receiving the intel and you want to be coming from your heart space as much as you can this month. I feel like there's a lot of self-compassion, a lot of, there's a spirit of letting go still. I mean, we're always letting go in our lives, right? But there is this sense that there's a lot of change happening. So how can you let go and be okay with not feeling as in control as maybe you used to? What are those practices that'll allow you to feel like you can ride the river, right? And maybe it's a lazy river where like you're being guided and directed, and you don't have to be so controlling and feel as if it's this kind of rocky thing. I want you to really see it as how can I have less resistance towards my life? How can I move forward with more ease? How can I take the path of least resistance? All of these things will really help you this month in your manifestation process, because this card is really saying, I'm really drawn to this gold light above his head, and how when you connect within yourself to that heart and mind coherence, you create that beautiful sinus wave that goes out into the quantum field, and you start to attract in all the opportunities that are meant for you. So even if things haven't been happening yet, we still have been feeling kind of that slow down energy of January. It wasn't like a typical January where it's like, okay, all everything in motion, go forward fast. No, we're just starting to feel some momentum right now. So allow yourself to get in alignment within first and then start to work with your external practices. But yes, from futuring perspective, get in that heart space and figure out what it is that you want for the end of the month, knowing that this is an abundant co-creative time that you get to receive, that a lot of the things that you've been working on that have been kind of stalled or not moving forward are going to start to get that momentum. The train is going to leave the track. So please, in that energy and that spirit, figure out what it is that would feel really amazing for you. Okay. Okay, and so we're moving into the first week of February with the third, and we have this amazing card, which is Firm Foundation. It's a four card. And we have a couple, I've already pulled the cards for the month, and we have a couple four cards. So that to me means we're really going to be working on our grounding and our ability to feel safe in our world and our reality. And this is a wonderful card. It's very much about your earthly life, not your spiritual life as much, but your earthly life, all the things that you can manifest in the 3D realm. So this card is telling me, I was saying for February, it's a manifesting month. So if you reverse engineer and you start to think about what it is that you want for February, this is the week to lay down the framework, the foundation for what it is that you want to create. And I'm seeing this energy of so much self-esteem building. It's really challenging to create our lives when we're not connected deeply to our self-esteem and what we feel we're worthy of. And Spirit is telling me to remind each and every single one of you that if something was placed in your heart, a dream, an aspiration, a goal, that what you want wants you to, and that already exists in a future timeline. And so it's your job to have certainty and to believe in yourself that you can have that. So for some of you, this week is about certainty. It's about really saying to yourself that if every day you woke up and you said, I have certainty that this thing that I want is coming towards me. I'm magnetizing it and attracting it, and I get to have that. I want you to notice where in your self-esteem or what conversation comes up in your head of, well, I mean, I don't know if I'm powerful enough to do that, or I don't know if I'm young enough or rich enough, or whatever storyline that you have that keeps you in lack, keeps you disconnected from the powerful truth of what's possible for you. I want you to work on that this week. I always believe who we are in the inside really is reflective in the external world. So if you're trying to create that certainty and yet there's a lot of wobbliness in you, that is just an opportunity to keep reflecting, keep contemplating, and asking yourself from a futuring perspective for this week, who would I be if I gave myself more love, more presence, compassion, whatever it is that you feel deficient in? Because if you think about your self-esteem and you start to hear the stories or you hear whatever comes up for you, your inner critic that says to you, you're not enough or whatever, I want you to imagine that you're sitting down with that inner critic just for a moment in meditation and saying, okay, tell me, what is it that you're saying? Because I don't even feel this is the truth of your being. The inner critic is a program voice, and there are negative forces in this world, negative energy. And I think it's really connected to all of that. And so when you start to fall prey to the inner critic, to the ego, to the negative forces, I really want you to ask yourself, what is it exactly saying to me? And I'm going to detach from that. I'm not going to buy into that. I'm not going to play that game anymore because I already know what playing that game leads to. It leads to you probably feeling like you aren't in your power or you can't have the very things that you want. So this week, do that work around your self-esteem, your self-worth, really asking yourself, what would the version of me that already feels a really rich, fulfilling level of self-esteem, how would they operate in my reality? Because you're going to be borrowing from your future self. That's why you want to have a conversation with that critic and kind of dispel the critic, but really asking, okay, yeah, what would that version of me that's more confident or feels more safe to express myself, what would they be doing differently? And maybe see if you can identify like a few different things for the week that you can embody. Maybe you set aside one day this week where you are acting as if you are in that energy all day long of the confidence, the abundance, the joy, whatever it may be, that when you feel you have more self-esteem and you're feeling powerful and powerful in a integral way, how would you act at work? How would you speak to people? Where would you go? Have a date with yourself, your future self, that, on a Wednesday or Thursday or on the weekend, whatever date is, and really start to look at how can I make this more my reality. So if you play in that energy one day, you're going to get at least an idea, a blueprint of where you need to come from. And if you kind of falter that day, just keep coming back to it. Just keep coming, everything you do, be mindful that day. Start your day off with how would you operate if you had more self-esteem? Would you give yourself more time in the morning to meditate? Would you pray more? Would you eat different foods? I don't know, but you do. And I want you to figure that out. And I want you to come back in the comments and tell me what you decided and what you noticed on your day where you were really operating from that amazing self-esteem of who you get to be when you're aligned with your future self. Because this card is all about setting the foundation. And that yellow energy is really this energy of really vibing from your solar plexus and just feeling that inner sun attracting in, shining out so much light, but attracting in light from others. And I just see so much energy of connection. I feel like this is a big week of connecting with people and talking and realizing who your people are and just having some fun and having some softness and some lightness in your life and really thinking about if you are laying out the foundation for your reality, what maybe along those lines of the foundation, what structurally might need to just be tweaked this week in your life, and just ask that question. These weeks and the energy I give you is really a contemplation. It's really trying to help you to be the best version that you can be. And so besides the self-esteem, I want you to think about structurally, what is it that I might need to change? So you could ask that question at the beginning of this week on Monday, and then by the end of the week, really come back to it and just say, okay, after I worked with my self-esteem more, after I looked at all these different things, what maybe in my reality do I have to get rid of? And it could just be a thought pattern. It could be a habit that you have that you're doing that is not, if you're saying you want to be healthier and yet you're still eating ice cream every night or whatever it is you're doing, get rid of it. Get rid of it. Part of being in your self-esteem is doing harder things and being disciplined and trusting that process. And I know when I look at my life and I'm creating a firm foundation for myself and really in my self-esteem, not everything is always going to feel good. I think there's this spiritual misconception that when we are doing the right thing for ourselves, when we're in that energetic alignment, that it's supposed to feel really good. Guys, it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the right thing is the hard thing to do because you're being asked to change things up because your soul knows better for you. And if you are listening to your ego, it's going to say, well, that doesn't feel good. I remember when my soul was like, you got to stop drinking alcohol. And I was like, why? I don't want to do that. I was an alcoholic. I didn't have that. I wasn't, I barely drank, but when my soul wanted me to do it, it didn't necessarily feel good, but I honored it. And now I can see why, right? So there's certain things that may in the moment from a foundational perspective not 100% make clear sense, but if you are about stepping into a new identity and creating the reality that you want, they really do make sense, and they'll make sense over time. So this is also trusting yourself, trusting your intuition, your higher self, your connection with the divine, so that you can create that stronger foundation for your life. Okay, that's the energy for the first week of February. So for the second week, which is on the 10th, we get this card. We get the emotional loss card, and it's a 5 card. And we also have a full moon in Leo on the 12th this week. And the Leo energy is always so fun and so creative and expressed and romantic and all the things, inner child fun. So when we combine the full moon that week with the energy of this card and our theme for manifesting this month, the Magician card is the February theme. This card to me is, I don't know why, but I'm drawn to like the spiral effect, the spiral. And when we are on a path of growth and evolution, if we are looking for linear, we're looking in the wrong direction, right? Linear is expecting things to kind of always add up and make sense. And oh, if I've gotten this far, that means I should have already known this and all these things. That kind of thinking gets us in trouble. It really does. So I want you to think about a spiral and how sometimes when you move forward, then you go back. And so when it comes to your healing journey, when it comes to how you're growing in your life, this is a week I want you to really tune into your heart. We started off February, if you watched earlier, and we were talking about really asking your heart what it desires for this month. And this is the week that we get to do a little acupuncture on the heart. We get to go in and kind of tweak and work on it and see what are the blockages? What are the very things that are keeping me from receiving the blessings that I'm asking for? Where am I holding myself up? And you may think that it's somebody else in your reality. You may say, well, so and so is doing this to me, and therefore I can't move forward. Or my mom did this to me when I was a kid, and I just can't seem to have a good relationship, or whatever it may be. And this is a sobering week of growing up and adulting. Okay. Like I know that sounds kind of funny, but it's really this space of, gosh, if I take full ownership and accountability for who I am, then what do I need to clean up? Where have I been blocking myself from the abundance and the light that wants to pour through me and out into others, into my life, because I think things should be a certain way or I'm resisting what is. There is this tone from spirit this week about letting go of where we're complaining, where we're finding what's wrong in our lives, where we're stuck in maybe victim mentality. That this week is like a clean sweep. It's like, okay, it's time to let it go. It's time to write a new narrative and to get excited, even though things aren't happening maybe in the external reality exactly like you want. Part of the problem is your story. Part of it is what you're focusing on. So this card is really, there's so much, it's a 5 card, so it's all about the changes. So it's the changes that are happening around you that are triggering you. It's the changes that you need to make in order for you to move forward. And I want you, from a futuring perspective this week, the first thing I want you to do is to identify, where are you outsourcing your power? Who are you outsourcing it to? Is it the new president? Is it your boss? Is it your spouse, your children? Like, where might you be outsourcing your power and blaming that person, that thing for why your reality sucks or it's not going in the way that you want? And I'm going to ask you, this is from spirit. They're saying, spirit saying, pull back your energy. Almost see it as like these ropes. You're like tethered to all these different things. And imagine if you're trying to walk forward in your life and yet you're pulled in all these different directions. You're tethered energetically. You're outsourced to all these other things. And spirit's like, cut the ties that bind, like go through your reality and start to first, like I said, identify where you are outsourcing power and and you may not say to yourself, oh, I'm giving this person power, but believe me, you are, when you are constantly complaining. Now, it's one thing to to get behind something and try and change something, or to want to be accountable to something bigger and help society or help a community. Or I'm not talking about that energy. I'm literally talking about where you are in blaming, complaining, victim mode around something. So once you identify what that is, and it could even be your health, like you might be like, oh my God, because of my health, I can't do this, this, that, and the other. Once you identify what it is, then I want you to rewrite the narrative from a futuring perspective. I want you to think about a reality where that isn't the problem, and who you would be if that thing wasn't holding you up. And then I want you to start to embody what you hear, whether it's a feeling state, whether it's action, maybe. And I know for some of you, I'm thinking like for the health one, for instance, if you're like, well, I can't, I'm really sick and I can't move and I can't do all these things. I want you to think of how much power, how much energy that is taking up from your life. And if you were to let that go, what might it provide you? How could you show up differently in your life? And I know this isn't easy work, you guys, but I'm here to help you change your life. And futuring and healing forward is really about shifting the narrative and realizing there is a future that exists where you're not victimized by the person or the thing that's happening right now. So focus on that. Like, what would I be if I took this, part of my life away, just temporarily? Just play with it in a meditation and think of a pie and how much this takes up in your reality. How much is you being mad at this person, or you feeling um, upset by a certain situation? How much does that take up in your pie chart? And let it go. Let it go. That's our the stories, the past, that is, it keeps holding all this energetic charge for you. Keep asking. If you have a relationship with God, the divine, the universe, keep asking, please help me detach from this. Please give me the strength to let this go. Please help me move forward on this. Because I want you this week to not only just let go of that blockage or that thing, or just to have a little bit of space from it, but I want you to see what is possible on the other side of that, because this is about being able to bring in more blessings. And if you're stuck on something, if you're still chewing on something, digesting it, and it's not moving, like I'm just kind of thinking through your physical body, so it could be released, then you literally have, if you think about it from an energy perspective, you're stuck. You have a blockage. And that blockage is preventing you from receiving more. And until you stop resisting life, until you start to say, okay, I do have the power to change this, I can let this go, you won't be able to receive as much as you desire. So this is a big week. That doesn't mean this could be a fantastic week for you, because you could lighten up and you could start to experience outside of the issue, whatever the challenge is, whatever the problem is, some levity, some lightness, some freedom. And I really want you to take as much ownership as you can for whatever is happening. And if it's just ownership over your ability to have joy, that's so important. Okay, so that's for the week of the 10th. And I really feel with that full moon in Leo, it works in tandem, because Leo is about being creative and expressed and letting yourself be on the stage of life. And how can you do that when you're still holding on to things? So many of the people I work with, they want to be fully expressed. They want to be the best version of themselves and create their best lives. And a lot of times we think it's like this big thing where we need to get somewhere, but in reality, it's just clearing some of the blocks and being with ourselves so that we can react to life in new ways and have new perspectives to create a new reality. Okay, so moving on to the week of the 17th, we have this amazing card, which is Foundations and Achievement. And this is a 4 card. And this is, you can see it's purple. The other card that we had earlier in the month that was a 4 card was that firm foundation card that was much more the external reality, physical 3D. This is spiritually speaking. This card is lovely because this is a card, the meaning behind it is about having a time of peace and prosperity, feeling really good. This also is a time of feeling deeply nourished and really seeing our home as a sanctuary. And this week, actually, Mars is in Cancer. It's been in retrograde, and as of February 23rd, it moves out of its retrograde. Mars isn't wildly comfortable in Cancer, but it's been there. And Cancer typically rules the fourth house, which is family, right? So there's this sense that hopefully you've gotten to be much more enlightened. And it depends too, also where your, where in your chart Cancer falls. But I'm getting this overall message that when you kind of have been in this retrograde period, and looking at the things that have been going on in your family life and in your groups and communities and all that, there's this incredible opportunity for there to be some improvements, changes, evolution, growth, and more peace. And I do believe that peace always starts within ourselves first. And it's so hard because so much of our lives, we've been conditioned to think that everything comes outside of us. But I want you to look around this week and see all the ways that you feel just filled up and just really spiritually nourished. And what are those things that are providing that for you? Is it your relationships? Is it travel? Is it food? Like what is it? What makes you feel alive and makes you feel like life is an adventure? And I want you to really deeply connect to that because you get to create. Remember, February is a month of futuring and manifestation. And so part of this card is really feeling that sense of like, wow, things are really good. I can see how spirit is moving through my life. I can see the the enlightenment that I'm receiving from all these things that have been happening. So it does feel as if there's going to be a deeper understanding of yourself in a lot of ways, and maybe your home life and the people that you're closest to. I'm also feeling with this card that if you are feeling the opposite, if you're like, well, I don't feel any peace and enlightenment right now in my life or joy in my home and within myself, then that's a call. That's a call to change things up. It's really about switching it up and figuring out, okay, well, what do you need to do? Because this is the thing, you guys. If you're not course correcting how you feel within yourself on a day-to-day basis, then, and what I mean by that is like sitting in meditation, sitting in prayer, and really checking in with yourself, then it's really no matter what's going on around you, you might not even be able to see it because you're not in the space to. So I really want this to be an actionable week around what spiritually nourishes you. So from a futuring perspective, if you had the best faith practice, if you maybe for you it's like reading your Akashic records, maybe it's doing, sitting in prayer for 15 minutes every day, maybe it's journaling and doing automatic writing. I have no idea. But if 6 months from now you adopted a practice that made you feel more nourished within yourself and with God and in the universe, I want you to think about that and how you can start to embody that now, not waiting till you have more time or life changes or whatever. I'm really getting the sense that this year we have to have such an incredibly strong relationship with ourselves and the divine because there's just so much change. And so, yeah, employ those faithful practices that help you feel the best that you are when you are feeling that sense of connection. And then look for all the beauty this week. See where see where things are going right. See where you feel super loved up and connected to the people around you, because this is a really powerful, powerful time to do that. And I feel like we're going to be wrapping up Aquarius season. So, being that Aquarius is all about community and our connections, you might also notice where have those connections benefited you and who you're becoming, and who are the people that you want to spend more time with because they really make you feel so good. So that's for the week of the 17th. Last but not least, for the week of the 24th, we have, and that's like the final week of February, we also have the new moon in Pisces on the 27th, my daughter's birthday. And she's got like 7 planets in Pisces. Oh, I got to get her astrology chart read. It's crazy. Anyways, we got this card, the Solitude, in this deck. In traditional, it's the Hermit. And today, for whatever reason, I'm noticing all these colors. And this reminds me of like a beautiful sunrise or sunset when we take time to notice the small things, when we take time to be grateful for the way our lives are working. This week feels like a quiet stillness, a departure from maybe some busier things, and really getting quiet and thinking about what it is that we're really supporting and creating in our lives. And this feels like, if February is a beautiful month to future and create and manifest, this is the final week to do that, right? So you might need to go with it. And the Hermit really is this very evolved being in a sense, because they act from wisdom. This archetype acts from wisdom and acts from a place of knowing and certitude within themselves, not because somebody outside of them is telling them how to be, but because they are so deeply connected to the truth of their being. And how can you become more masterful this week in that? How can you start to trust your wisdom? Whatever questions are lingering in your reality, have you taken the time to go within yourself and resource the answers, or are you still looking in the external world for somebody to tell you? Now, we all need help. We all need support. We all have blind spots. And sometimes it's really important, even when we get support, right, to go back in and really make sure, okay, is this my truth? This week feels like you are harvesting so much energy of truth. And it's so interesting they use the word harvesting right now, because I think of harvest as like the farm, like when you're pulling up all the final, whether it's corn or potatoes or whatever it is, that when you get the harvest, you get to enjoy it. It's like the fruit, you get to eat the fruit. And when you are looking at the truth of your life and seeing it as the harvest, seeing it as like, oh my gosh, this truth is the very thing that sets me free. Where in my life am I, you know, it's really like seeing it as like almost like they're showing me like a clear lake. And if there was a reflection back to you of who you are and how you're presenting right now in your life, that's your featuring exercise. Is I want you to meditate and imagine going to a clear lake and really seeing it as like, okay, divine, show me the true reflection of who I am. And I want you to see yourself as this multidimensional conscious being. And from that place, asking yourself, what is it that you want me to continue to co-create this week and moving forward? Because I get the sense that this is about creating from your highest, not from what you're told to do, should do, all that kind of stuff. Spirit's like, hey, if you can get really into alignment with the truth, if you want to be a singer, or you want to write a book, or you want to start a new dance practice or cooking, whatever, I have no idea. But whatever that is, if you honor that truth, you are bringing in so much blessings. And I'll tell you why, because you're honoring the essence of your soul. Your soul doesn't just want to do all the things that you've been doing. Your soul gets bored. It's like, hey, if we're not growing and learning, like, what are we here for? And so then sometimes then you have to go through these like catastrophic things. You get sick, or, a big fallout of a relationship. And it's not to say that all these things weren't supposed to happen to some degree. But what if you honored your soul's calling and if you heard, gosh, I gotta not work so hard and I gotta take care of my body, and you actually started to do that, that's a truth. A truth might be like, God, hanging out with these people drains me. And whenever I'm around them, I start to feel kind of yucky. Okay, so if that's the truth, then cut back on that. What is the truth? So make sure from a futuring perspective that you spend some time going to that visualization that I shared and really asking, what is it that you want to show me? What's the truth? What do I first see how you look and then the reflection? And it might be something totally different than what the mirror reply, shows you, reflects back to you. Then really asking, what is the truth that you want me to know about my life so that I can get into the highest alignment, so that I can keep creating, so I can feel that no matter what's happening outside of me, that I'm honoring the rhythm and the heartbeat of my soul. And that's when you bring more light in and stop resisting. I keep getting that message. You guys stop. Like if part of your wisdom and mastery this week is to not resist where you're at, that is the game. Like, stop resisting. Oh my gosh, they're saying it so strongly. Like, where when you resist, you're saying to the universe, I can't handle anymore. Don't give me more stuff because I can't take it, because I'm not willing to deal with this pocket of grief, or I'm not willing to look at my anger or whatever it may be. You guys, please, I implore you, be your own best friend. Take time to go within and really see, because this is a 9 card. It's the end of a cycle. We're starting the Pisces new moon. Pisces is all about our subconscious and it's all about our spirituality and all these things. If it's a 9, this is saying, hey, let's wrap something up. Let's move into a new cycle. Let's create something. We're in a 9 year, right? So operating from your truth is wildly important, and also not resisting what might come through or the things that are being need to be tended to, so that you can live in your truth and live in that alignment so that you can receive more. That's what we all want, right? So anyways, I hope you have an incredible February. Let me know in the comments how you did with some of your futuring exercises for each week. I want to hear, and how you are operating with manifesting and creating a life that you love. I will see you next month. Take care.